Hello and welcome to the Anxious Knitter Podcast. My name is Joy, and I am the Anxious Knitter. I'm so anxious that every time I have to make a phone call to anyone other than family, I have to pep myself up for days. Which reminds me, I really need to call the dentist back, but you don't care about my personal appointments. You're here for episode 6. Like I said, my name is Joy, and I am coming to you from Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, where I live with my husband, Luke, and our dog, Opie, who has actually joined me on the couch today. Not that you can see him, but he is here. Hopefully he stays there. This is a podcast mostly about knitting, but occasionally about crochet, sewing, and whatever other crafty thing catches my fancy at the moment. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I'm so happy to metaphorically see you. And if you're brand new, just stumbling on my little corner of the internet for the first time, I hope you see something that you like. And if not, that's totally cool. There are 1,000 podcasts out there, and you will find the ones that are for you. Anyway, let us begin. So on my last episode, which I had my husband Luke co-hosting with me, I announced a giveaway for my first 100 subscribers, and I picked a winner, guys! Yay! So I had to I wrote out all of your Ravelry IDs and numbered them, and then I put them through the random number generator, and the winner of this lovely skein of Indigodragonfly yarns in the Sage Fright colorway. Here, let me just hold it up there so everybody can admire it one last time. That winner is Nadirah. Yes! Congratulations! And I discovered that Nadirah is Kalisha of the, I want to get this right, Quirky Monday podcast. So this was extra exciting for me because I got to subscribe to a new podcast because of the giveaway. So congratulations, Kalisha. I will message you on Ravelry to get your shipping details, unless you see this somehow before I message you, in which case you can message me. It's all good. We can play some Ravelry tag. But I will get that shipped out to you ASAP once I have your details. So congratulations. That was a lot of fun for me. I'm looking forward to the next one. And actually, someone in the comments had suggested Luke make a bag for giveaway, and that is definitely something that we are going to do. Because we have some plans for his bags and for businessy things. And anyway, he will definitely be making a bag for future giveaways. Probably multiple bags. I'll probably just keep telling him to make me bags all the time so that I have them to give away and some for me to use, because why not take advantage of your husband's crafty skills, right? Is that horrible? I don't know. Anyway, so that's the giveaway taken care of. I loved reading all of your responses. I didn't comment back on that episode just because I wanted to keep things really tidy and streamlined for when I was doing the giveaway, but I read everybody's comments and I was so appreciative of all the kind things you said. Luke was appreciative of the birthday wishes he got and the nice things you guys said about him, and so I also learned of a couple sock patterns that I hadn't heard of before, but I loved all the love for the Hermione's Everyday Socks, because I love Hermione's Everyday Socks, and there he goes. Okay, I think he's done barking. We'll see if he comes back. Anyway, I have a lot to talk about today. I don't know what happened to my knitting mojo, but I was pumping things out. So I apologize if this is somehow a really long episode. I'll try not to wax poetic about every project and thing that comes up, but I can't make any promises because I'm a talker. So anyway, let's start with the dweeb story of the week, shall we? Dweeb story of the week. Yes. I have 2 dweeb stories of the week, and come up. And they're both crafting related. Come on. Come up here. So the first one, I'll start with the less horrible one. Slightly less horrible one. So I finished my Asunder shawl, which I'll obviously show you in the next segment. So I was blocking it, and it was really big, so I decided to block it on my bed this time instead of on my yoga mat configuration in my office. And all was going well, pinning everything out, and I was moving around, and I bumped my box of straight pins onto the floor, which you would think not the biggest deal, kind of an inconvenience to have pins rolling around on the ground. But you see, I will be the first to admit that I am not actually the tidiest person in the world. I will never have that Pinterest aesthetic, but and learn to talk joy. And so because I'm not very tidy, my bedroom has a lot of clothes on the floor. And I mean a lot of clothes on the floor. Like 90% of my wardrobe is on the floor. And I dropped the pins into the pile of clothing. So I should also point out that I have a curse in my life where I step on every sharp thing. Every single thing that could be sharp gets in my foot. So far, I think I managed to get everything. I had to pick through all the folds and all of the clothes, and hopefully I got all of them, but honestly, there's no way of knowing unless I actually pick up all my crap off the floor. Which, in all fairness, probably isn't likely to happen anytime soon, but I don't know, spring cleaning is coming up. So anyway, be careful if you are messy like me. Even if you're not messy like me, just be careful of your straight pins, because somebody's gonna get injured on one of those things. I get injured every time I'm blocking something. I end up like with a pin hanging out of my finger going, ah! Ah! Whatever. My second dweeb story of the week. So, Luke was cutting out fabric for a bag for my mom to keep her crochet stuff in. And we don't have a lot of like large table space, so we used the floor. And you'll remember if you watched last week all the way to the end, Luke shared his dweeb story of the week, which was using the rotary cutter. Can you guess where this is going? So I was working on a different craft, which I will show you also in finished objects. So we were kind of doing our thing in the living room. And then I looked down at one of the pieces of fabric that's lying on the floor, and I'm like, there's like speckles, like spots on it. So I touched it, and it was blood. Sorry if you're squeamish about blood, okay? I'm sorry, this is a bloody story. Ooh, my bad. I was like, Luke, did you cut your hand on the rotary cutter again? You gotta be careful. I thought you were being more careful this time. He's like, I was being more careful this time. I was closing it every time. I'm sure of it. I was like, check yourself, because there's blood on this fabric. So he's like looking all over himself. Then we take a second to look at me. We realize I'm like covered in blood. Yeah. My hands were covered in blood. My foot was covered in blood. I'm guessing, bumped the rotary cutter. Like he maybe didn't close it, or he was like holding it, and I walked past, and it's so sharp that you don't even feel it. And I had almost sliced off the top of my pinky toe. It was so gross. It didn't hurt. It like basically didn't hurt until I started pouring water on it to clean it off. But even then, it didn't hurt too bad. But like, it was a little bit concerning, because like here I'm going like, you obviously cut yourself and you weren't being safe, and I was obviously the one not paying attention and not being safe, and almost cut my toe off. Good times. So yeah. Cautionary tale. Close up your pin box. Close up your rotary cutters. Be aware of your surroundings. So there's another PSA for you. Yeah, so why don't we get on into the knitting? Let's start with our finished objects. That was more sinister than it needed to be. Anyway, I'll start with let's see. Okay, I'll start with this. So I finished the crochet baby blanket that I'm doing for my sister-in-law's second baby, which is due in April, May. roundabout. I think it's May, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I finished the blanket. So here it is. I think it's a pretty decent size. You can see, like, I don't know, I think it would be good for, like, if you have the baby, like, lying on the floor or on the grass or something. I don't know what you do with babies. They could be on it. Like, it would be a nice, because it's nice and cushy. It's, like, a nice, thick, cushy acrylic yarn. This is just loops and threads. It was, like, some giant ball of yarn that I got at Michael's. Here, I'll hold it up a little closer. You can see the colors. White, mint, and yellow. And then I did a little mint border with some leftovers I had from the blanket I made for baby number 1. I was going to do a crab stitch border because I liked the look of it, but I didn't end up doing it because I didn't like the way it looked. The yarn I used for the border was quite a bit thinner, and so it just looked kind of meh. So I just did 2 rows of single crochets around, and I think it looks nice. I've always been sort of weirdly skeptical of crochet blanket borders. I'm like, I don't know if I like the way that looks, but this may have sold me. Even just having the little single crochet border, I like it. I think it turned out cute. I used a 4mm hook. I was just using like a basic hook, but then for the last maybe quarter of it, I caved and I went to Michael's and I bought a clover, like, padded hook, which, okay, I do like it. I do appreciate the cushioning. It is a little more ergonomic. But the hook was really, really short. Like, sorry. I don't think I have, no, I don't have it here. The hook that I was using before. I like the hook to be longer than my hand when I'm holding it. And this one, like, rests, like, right here. And I don't know. I kind of kept feeling like I had to readjust my grip to make it more comfortable, but maybe I just need to get used to it. I don't know. But yeah, that didn't take too long. It was nice to kind of get some, like, crochet back into my regular crafting time, I guess. This is one of my favorite mugs, by the way. It's just from IKEA. It was like $3 or something. And I'm drinking a chai latte from my Tassimo machine. Yeah, so fancy. Alright, next I'll show you my half object. So I cast on my March socks, obviously, because now it's March. And I did the Mercury socks pattern by Kim Drotar. I'm 100% confident about the Drotar. I'm like 85% confident about Kim. But obviously I will put whatever the correct name is, like, down at the bottom here. So anyway, yeah, I cast on and finished the first sock, which I really love this pattern, okay? If you have not knit the Mercury sock yet, you need to go and do it, because honestly, I knit this faster, I would say, than a vanilla sock. It was just addicting, and the pattern repeat was, like, so easy to memorize after the first couple times, and it just flew off my needles. And I knit this in Indigodragonfly Geek Club in the Real McCoy 7th Doctor colorway, and it is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. So yeah, really pretty lacy sock. Definitely something I'm going to be knitting multiple times. I did 20 rows of 1x1 ribbing. I can't remember what it's not the same ribbing that she calls for in the pattern, but I really don't think that matters. And I also so I've been having some issues with my Fish Lips Kiss heels and that they fit, but like they're not the best fit. And so I tried a couple things that are a little different. One thing is I read the whole pattern and realized I had skipped a step, which was up in here, some stockinette up in here. And then I went an extra, like, I don't know if it's like a short row decrease or whatever. I don't know what it's actually called. But the thing that makes the heel on the short rows, I went one more, like, right side and wrong side row. So instead of having 10 stitches in the middle, I had 8, and it fits a lot better. So I'm going to be doing that from now on. But yeah, so I love this colorway, but what I really love about it is that it kind of reminds me of like a crocodile, like a crocodile's back, especially when you see it off the blocker and the lace isn't all like spread out. But even so, it reminds me of a crocodile. So these will probably be my March crocodile socks, because why not? They're really soft. I loved working with this yarn. 2.25 millimeter Haya sharps, which I was very grateful for the Haya sharps because of the lace. And can I just say, I love a slip knit. I really do. That's my favorite stitch to do. It's like so satisfying to me. Is that weird? Can you hear the wind? We're having a really windy week right now. It's crazy. Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. Yeah, so I have begun the second sock, but just almost on the cuff. So not anything exciting to show you there, I'm afraid. But I'm keeping it still in my creepy bag. Look, what is this? What? Gross. Look like a worm. It's not. Just scrap yarn. Yeah. So these are my March socks for the Grocery Girls sock bash. Their year-long sock bash. And I guess I liked them because they were like green toned without being like green. I wasn't really in the mood for like green socks, but these feel like beginning of spring to me. You know, when everything's kind of just like the snow is melting and everything's just starting. I don't know if you've ever seen like Ontario in spring, then you know that that's what it looks like. Okay, I have so many finished objects today. So, I'm sorry, these look a little like horrible right now, but I also cast on and finished a pair of slippers for Luke. They're really, really dark, so they might be hard to see. I used the Simple House Slippers by Simone A, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. And the Mercury socks are also a free pattern on Ravelry. I really liked knitting these. Like, they're so fast, they're so simple. I liked this yarn despite it being really dark. I don't really like knitting with super dark stuff, but yeah, so you have your garter stitch heel and your stockinette foot, and it's like all it is, it's only knit stitches. So you start by knitting the heel rectangle flat, and then you gather it into the round. So like I knit mine directly onto the circulars that I was going to use for Magic Loop, and then you knit the foot. And like I think this would be so cute to do with multiple colors, to do in stripes, to do with color work, just to make them a little bit special. But he loves them. He's always complaining he always has cold feet. This one ended up more black, so it's kind of even harder to see. But yeah, he's been wearing those around the apartment. And I'm probably going to make myself a pair. Although I like to be barefoot, but whatever. I still want a pair, because why not have them? Right? Okay. So yeah, so those are some simple slippers. For Luke. What else do I got here? Well, I finished my Martine hat, so that is by Lisa R. Myers. Again, like, I'm so sorry. I knit things that were dark, and now they don't want to show up on camera. So just so you can see the pattern here. Sort of I guess a mock cable kind of idea. And I knit this in, oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. The slippers I just knit in, I think it's Lion brand, and I think it's either Lion brand or Loops and Threads, and it's the Scarfie. So it's like a gradient, and it's like a fuzzy yarn, acrylic wool blend, I believe. And it's really nice. Not great stitch definition if that's what you're into, but I liked it. It was a decent commercial yarn. But anyway, back to the hat. I knit this in Madelinetosh Twist Light in the ink colorway. And I loved this knit from start to finish. This was one that, like, it was both a process and a product knit, for sure. Like, I was almost sad when it was over, because I was like, oh, now I don't get to knit it anymore. But I loved the St. John's Wort pattern. I love the fingering weight. I don't have any fingering weight hats. Here, I'll put it on so you can see. And it's like, it's really slouchy, but like in like a pretty way. Like it almost becomes like a beret, like beret fit, I guess. Yeah, I basically knit this entirely to pattern. I didn't change anything except, no, I think I even did the rib the same. I don't think it called for twisted rib. Whatever, I guess. But I just did 1x1 rib on the brim. And it was funny because you switch to DPNs for the decreases, and I think I only did like 1 or 2 rows on the DPNs, which was kind of weird. But you also didn't decrease very far. It was like, I think you still had like 30 some odd stitches on the needle. I will say that when I first started the decreases, I did the round and I counted my stitches, and I was supposed to have like 105 and I had like 75 stitches or something. And I was like, oh, but the whole thing worked out, like numbers wise. Is because there's a second step. The decreases, there's like, it's not the same decrease all the way around. There's 2 different decreases all the way around. Or like one decrease, like you decrease one section and then you don't decrease and then you decrease. So I had to knit back through all the slip stitches and all the slip passed over stitches, and that was sort of a pain, but it's fine. I did it. It didn't take very long. Now I have this hat that I love. I wear all the time. Definitely going to be making this as like a gift knit hat for people because it's so enjoyable. And I did not block this yet. I don't know if I'm going to, because I like the way it fits just as it is. I'm worried that if I block it, even without like putting it over like a bowl or anything, if I just lay out, I'm worried that it's going to change the way it fits. I don't know. Do you think I should block it? If I just lay it out on a mat, no pins, no nothing, will it just dry to this shape again? I'm kind of nervous about it. Please let me know. I'm serious. I need your help. But let me just put it on one more time and admire myself in it. It's beautiful. Whoa! Did you hear that? That's our patio set blowing apart in the wind. I live in constant fear that the chair is going to come straight through the sliding door and like break everything. Okay, I have one more finished object. Okay, just one more, and then we can move on. I finished my Asunder shawl, which is a pattern by Lisa Mutch. And here it is. Here you can see how far the ends go. Definitely wider than my wingspan. And I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. I knit this as part of the Strings and More Lisa Mutch along, which I believe is ending on March 11th. I think. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was March 11th, which means I really need to get some photos of it so I can post that in the finished objects thread. But yes, I knit this in, you guys are probably so sick of hearing this, Northbound Knitting in the Avernia colorway, and Sweet Georgia Tough Love Sock in the Rogue colorway for the purple. And it really worked out, the colors worked out just how I hoped that they would. I really like how the that chartreusey green really picks up in the Rogue. And yeah, I won't lie to you, it sort of got to be a slog at the end. Just because of the length of the rows. I think you end with almost 400 stitches or something. Definitely over 300 stitches. But I love it. I've been wearing it lots. Here you can see how big it is. And like if I had blocking wires and a larger space to block in, I probably could have even gotten it bigger, but I tend to wear it like this, and then I tie the two ends into a knot at the front. But I love the texture of these yarns. I really would recommend using Northbound Knitting and Sweet Georgia Tough Love Sock. I'd really like to make a pair of socks in the Tough Love Sock at some point. But yeah, there we go. It's different in color from everything I've done so far, which, oh my gosh, tying knots on camera. I think I'll leave it on. Yes. Okay. Yes, so this took me a couple weeks. It was a fast knit. It's an easy knit if you want to, if you're new to shawl knitting, or you just want something really simple but that still has that sort of like graphic impact. I would definitely suggest this, or really probably any of her patterns. I don't think her patterns are particularly complicated, but they're all very striking, and definitely like them. So yeah, very happy to have that off the needles finally. But I don't know if you've been able to tell, I feel like I kind of shawled myself out temporarily. Like, I just needed a palette, like, I need a palette cleanser of, like, small projects before I move on to my Pure Joy. But I'm very excited about knitting that, too. Yeah. So that's it for finished, oh, wait, no. I have one more finished object, which is a non-knitting finished object. It's sort of a sewing and hot gluing finished object. Now normally this is something that I sew myself. I would do it by hand, but I asked Luke to do the one little bit of sewing just because why not? It would save me a lot of time and effort. So as I've mentioned before, I believe Luke and I are planning to go to Disney World next January, for our second time. And I started making Minnie Mouse ears and Mickey Mouse ears. So I made a couple pairs for my mom and dad when they went, because they went for the Halloween party, and then so I made them some Halloween ears, and I made them some regular ears. I had bought a pair of ears when I was at Disney World, but I didn't love how they fit. They were really, really tight. Like, I couldn't wear them for more than 15-20 minutes at a time because they hurt so much. So I was like, maybe I could just make some of my own. So I have plans to make quite a few pairs, but this is the pair I made. It's my first pair for myself to take. Here they are. So I got some cute sort of vintage Minnie Mouse fabric, which I'm making a bag out of for myself and for my mom. And then it's sort of hard to tell in the bow, but it's this really pretty black and gold dress form fabric. And then I had some just like, I had some little like pearls that I just hot glue strings. It's some pearls. I thought I'd glue them on because this edge was sort of untidy and I wasn't sure why, and it never had been every other time I'd done it. So I just put the pearls on there to hide it, and then I had this pop bottle cap that looks vintage that I thought would look cute. And yeah, they're a little crooked, I think. Why? Okay, what is wrong with me? Here. There. That's right. Okay. Yes. So here they are, my first pair of ears. I have plans for a Cinderella pair, a Mulan pair, and a Haunted Mansion pair. I'm gonna have all the ears. And I've made Luke a pair of, like, Avengers ears. Maybe I'll show that another time. But yeah, they're nice and poofy and plush, and yeah, I think they turned out pretty cute. I figure they'll go with everything. You know what I mean? Because they're black and gray. Yeah. Sorry. I'm not even tired. Why am I yawning? What? Yeah. So that's my last finished object. For sure. Now we can move on and I can fix my bowl cut. I need to stop making that face. Why do I keep doing that? Anyway, let's move on to works in progress. Yes. I think I did that way too long. I only have a couple to show you. Thankfully, I'm sure. The first is a sock. This one's not for me. This one's for my dad. My mom has commissioned me to make my dad some socks. Again, this is really dark, so I apologize if you can't really see very well. I've just finished the leg on the first sock. It looks absolutely bizarre and tiny, but that's because it's just like a plain and simple 3x1 rib. So because they're sort of a surprise, so I couldn't like get his measurements and stuff, so I figured a rib sock would be safe because it's really nice and stretchy. So you can see how stretchy it is. And he's not a big guy at all. He has very like narrow calves, and his feet are almost the exact same size as mine. So I figure I'll make them just a little bit wider and just a little bit longer, and they should fit fine. I forgot the tag. Okay, but I can tell you that the yarn is Lang Yawol Super Magic, something like that. It's an interesting yarn. I have mixed feelings about it because on one hand it's really soft, and in that way it's pleasant to work with, but it's also very fuzzy. Like, I would not suggest this yarn for like if you want to do like a cable sock or like lace even, or like a textured pattern that you want to really be able to see the texture. Like this I would suggest for a ribbed sock or a vanilla sock, quite honestly, because a lot of your stitches will go unnoticed in this yarn. But it's fine because I am just doing a plain rib sock. And it's sort of like got a gradient thing going on, doesn't it? Which I really liked. I thought it was going to be more like stripes, which would have been cool too, but I really like the gradient effect. Knitting with black yarn though. I don't know people, like, I don't understand people who like choose on the daily to knit with black or like knit black sweaters. How do you do that without losing your mind? Because I was getting a little, like, crazy. I was like, oh no, is this whole sock just going to be black and it's not going to change back to the other color until the next sock? But it is starting to lighten up now. Yep. And I'm just keeping that in my Adventure Time bag. And my second work in progress, I don't have a whole lot to show you because I haven't gotten a ton done. They are the My Cup of Tea mitts by FluffyFibers. Which is also a free pattern on Ravelry, and it is a fingerless mitt in fingering weight yarn, and the pattern does call for DPNs. I don't know what you'll be able to see. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it. I've done one repeat of, I guess, what's the teacup pattern. It's meant to look like a teacup. Do I have? Here. Let me just see if I... You can kind of see here what it looks like. Yeah, so I have never knit anything on DPNs specifically. Like, obviously use DPNs for hats. I have like done just like practice swatches to get my hands around it. I have a lot of respect for people who knit regularly with DPNs because I don't know yet how I feel about it. Maybe it's too early in the game. I've had some frustrating moments. I did have to tear the whole thing out at one point. But I think they're going to be really pretty. The yarn is the same yarn I used for my mustard seed shawl, and it's Indigodragonfly, Geek Club, Simon's Pretty Vest, which I don't think you can get anymore. My local yarn shop gets all the Geek Club colors, but once they're sold out, they're sold out. They're gone forever. So if there's a color that you really want, you really should just get it, because, yeah. But I had a whole skein of this left, pretty much. I think it's interesting how it's striping. Ooh, text message from Luke. He's doing his first aid cert at work today. Yeah, okay, but I wanted to tell a little story because my dog knocked them down, didn't he? It's okay. So I had actually started knitting these on a pair of really cheapy Walmart DPNs, and they were really bothering me for a couple of reasons. One, they make this horrible sound when they rub together as you're knitting, and it would make my teeth hurt. And then they're really long, okay? So for comparison's sake, sorry, I'm trying not to make noise here. I was getting so frustrated with them because you only have 56 stitches and you have these gigantic, I had only these gigantic DPNs and I couldn't get my hands around them. So I went to my local yarn shop and I bought some Hayas, not sharps, just regulars. But here's the size difference, okay? And it has made things so much easier and so much more enjoyable for me. I like the stainless steel. I had wanted wood, but it's fine. They didn't have the size that I wanted in bamboo or wood, so I got the metal ones. And yeah, I like them so much better. You can see how much more manageable that is. Maybe for more experienced DPN knitters, the size of the needles doesn't matter, or maybe it does, and I'm just showing how much of a noob I am. But yeah, it's made a huge difference. I actually don't dread working on them, which is a good thing. I really want the mitts because it's the yarn I bought because it reminded me of Crimson Peak, which is a Del Toro movie that I love. So I thought it would be cute to call them Never Drink the Tea mitts, which I won't tell you why because of spoilers. But yeah. So those will come along. Hopefully I'll have at least one of them finished by the next podcast. But if not, I don't know. They're going to be done before, it's going to be too warm to wear them, is what I'm trying to say. But next year I can wear them all I want. So yeah, that's it for works in progress, which means we can skip along to stuff I bought for knitting. Shivers. This has been a week and a half, I guess, of acquiring tools. So a lot of the stuff I won't show you because they're too big or unnecessary to show you, but I'm still very excited because I finally bought a Swift and ball winder. I've been winding all my yarn by hand. Usually while Luke and I watch TV, he'll sit there with the yarn around his knees, and then I'm winding around a toilet paper roll, which I don't actually hate the process of hand winding yarn. It's very almost therapeutic in a way. But sometimes, sorry if I just slurped there. My bad. But sometimes I want to knit in that hour and not wind yarn for an hour. So I finally was able to get, when I ordered mine off Amazon, Stanwood Needlecraft. I bought their wooden Swift, medium size, not the large, because the medium size is still pretty big. And I also bought their coordinating ball winder. It wasn't cheap, but I felt like it was an investment, so I don't feel bad about it. I've already wound several cakes of yarn just for the sake of it. And yeah, so the Swift is really, I feel like it's really nice and sturdy. The wood is really smooth and well sanded. Everything seems well constructed. The ball winder seems fine. Yeah, I haven't really noticed any issues yet. The ball winder's a bit loud. I have to like lean my weight on the table so it, like the table's not going. Yeah, but I was very happy about that. And I also was able to pick up a scale for weighing my yarn, which again I was very happy about, because sometimes, you know, when you get close to the end of a project, you want to make sure you have enough. Like sometimes it, you know, will specify in the project that, you know, you need 5 grams or 10 grams for the bind off, and I was not able to do that. And that way I can also measure my scraps, my leftovers for my blanket, and yeah, and for other things, whatever. But it's Starfrit is the brand. It's really cute. It's like just a circle. It's like bright red, and it was about $20 at Walmart. I had ordered one off of Amazon in December. I did not realize that it was coming from China, which I'm always a little bit like worried about things getting lost in the mail when they come from that distance. And I was right, because it never showed up, but luckily I got a refund and I was able to put that money towards the Swifted ball winder instead. So that was really exciting. I've also acquired quite a few tools for yarn dyeing. I really want to try my hand at yarn dyeing. I just feel like it's the perfect marriage of all the things that I love the most. And I don't know if it's the art background. I'm assuming it's the art background, but I tend to see everything in color palettes. Just like I hear a word and it becomes colors. Like whenever I direct a show, it has colors in my head. It's just, for instance, Beauty and the Beast is always purple and gold for me. Always. Those are the colors that I think of. And I love when I watch movies looking at the colors that you know, the directors and the set designers and costume designers use, and whatever. I'm not going to nerd out about color theory too much, but I did acquire some pots from my mom and my mother-in-law, just some other small sundries, and yeah, so hopefully that'll be happening soon in the next couple months. I'm just sort of accumulating things slowly. I'm not mass purchasing anything right now, but I'm very excited about that. To try my hand at that, just for myself. I think it's a really, I guess, affordable way to try out some different like color palettes and stuff. Or like, my thought is, if I am to dye, like if I wanted to do a sweater and I wanted to do it in something that isn't just Cascade 220, it's really expensive to go out and buy even like high-end commercial yarns. Like a lot of them, you know, are upwards of $30 a skein. So to buy a sweater's quantity can be like a real financial investment, which you may not be able to make for whatever reason. Also, I don't think I've ever spent more than $40 on like a store-bought sweater, so it like kind of pains me a little bit to think about spending over like $100 on yarn. But anyway, the point being that I can then order those skeins of yarn and they're a little more affordable, but I can still have that like unique hand-dyed yarn. Right? Does that make sense? I think it does. But yeah, so the only other thing that I bought that now I can physically show you is I bought, what still has the price tag on it. I bought my yarn for my April sock bash socks. Sorry if you can hear me like picking sticker off. Oh gosh. So I've been looking at this yarn and planning to use this yarn since like January. And they only had like 1 or 2 left, so I was like, I'm just gonna buy it and then I have it and I don't have to worry about it. I bought this skein of yarn, which is by Ancient Arts Yarns, and it is the Pug Dog colorway. Here. So here's a little pug. And what I love about this is so I knit my dad a hat for Christmas out of the Scotty Dog colorway that she does. And what I love is that a portion of the proceeds from this yarn will be donated by Ancient Arts to charities benefiting stray and abandoned dogs. So it's like, I already know that I love this yarn. It's super soft, super squishy. It's lovely to work with. And it looks like Opie. And I thought this would be so great for my April socks because we adopted Opie from one of our local shelters on April 16th in 2014. And I just love that now I can make a pair of socks to celebrate his gotcha day, and they look like him, and, you know, some of those proceeds will go to help other stray dogs because Opie was a stray. My poor little guy was wandering the streets in the cold of early spring, late winter, which was really depressing to think about. But yeah, so I just thought that would be really fitting. So I'm really excited. Oh, I didn't tell you. I'm really excited to use this yarn again. Like, I really want to cast it on, but I obviously can't. Also, both of my sock needles are used up right now. Oh, it's made in Italy, the yarn. Hand-dyed in Canada. 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 385 yards. But when I weighed this, it was actually 105 grams, so it's a little heavy. So I have a little bit of extra there. But yeah, I don't know what pattern I'm going to do yet. Maybe the Neville socks, or maybe another pair of Hermione's everyday socks. I don't know yet. I don't know how this is going to knit up, so yeah. So I was super happy about that. Yeah, so I guess that brings us to the end of the knitting content for the episode. So if that's all you came for, I hope you enjoyed your stay, enjoyed your listen, enjoyed your watch, and I will see you next time. And if not, you can hang around for my last segment, which is My Life, Etc. I feel like such a dingus every time I do that, but I kind of love the way it looks, so it's staying. Yeah, so I actually wrote it all down. I've had an interesting week and a half. I started my production of Beauty and the Beast Jr., which is good. We've just been doing auditions, and now I'm going to be casting them tomorrow night, and they're very excited about that. It's a large cast, about 30-ish kids, so that'll be nice for all the group numbers. It'll look really nice and full. Great group of kids, really talented group of kids that make my job difficult when I have to cast, because I have so many of them, almost all of them, that can really be put almost anywhere, I feel, and do a good job. So yeah, I was working on that a bit this week. It's funny though, because my job has been causing me some stress. I won't go into details about it, but it has been stressful for me in the past few months, and it caused me a lot of anxiety. And even though this show is already going really well and it's off to a really good start, it's like my body automatically goes into like anxiety, like I don't know if it's almost like a fight or flight mode. So like I'm there and like I get like chest pains from anxiety, and just like, and then afterward I'm like doubting everything I've said and second guessing everything I've said and feeling embarrassed about everything I've said. So it's like I've been trying to rebalance myself with that, I guess, and trying to change my mindset, but I guess my body just has to relearn a new pattern of thinking in terms of my job. I finished watching the Star Wars prequels. No, not the prequels. Just the Star Wars movies. Oh my gosh. Can you tell, though, I'm not, like, a total fan that I call them the prequels? No. Episodes 4, 5, and 6 I watched. I really want to get it. Like, I really want to love it. I want to understand why everyone else loves it so much, but I don't really. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, I guess. I thought it was gonna be like a more serious sci-fi, but it almost feels like a parody. Like, they're parodying sci-fi, but I'm assuming that they're not, because they're sort of like, they sort of created that genre, didn't they? I don't know. I'm just making things up now. I wouldn't say I didn't like them. I thought they were pretty funny. Maybe some parts that weren't supposed to be funny became funny, but I will say my favorite part out of all 3 movies was in A New Hope, when Darth and Obi-Wan are fighting, and Obi-Wan, like, dies and, like, I don't know, dissolves in his cloak, and his cloak hits the floor, and Darth feels the need to, like, walk over and, like, step on the cloak to make sure Obi-Wan's not still in it. Like, it just felt like I was crying laughing when we watched that part, actually. But, and I still laugh when I think about it too much, because it just seems insane to me that this guy who can sense Obi-Wan's presence from, like, I don't know, like the other side of the ship, has to check to make sure his body is not actually in the cloak somehow. Like, it was so funny. And the guy who does Vader's, like, movement, like, the body actor, was so awkward. Everything he did was so awkward. And also, Vader was not at all the villain I was anticipating him to be. I thought he was, like, the villain, but he's actually just, like, a henchman. And he's really chatty. And I didn't get it. I didn't feel like he was actually cool. Maybe that's, like, sacrilege. I don't know. But I did it. I watched them. I have now watched all the Star Wars movies. So I can say that I've watched them. Can't say that I love them, but if you love them, that's great. I'm really happy for you, because I love sci-fi, and this just wasn't the sci-fi for me, I guess. Oh, my latte's cold. Well, not even. It's tepid. Also watched Finding Dory, finally. And I was like, I'd been holding off on watching it because of, I don't know, I was nervous that I wasn't going to like it, because I'd been hearing some mixed reviews, but I really did like it. Luke and I really enjoyed it. It was really funny. And there were some really cool new characters in it, and I don't know, it was enjoyable. I liked it. It was a good time. If you haven't seen it, I would say give it a try. Unless you really didn't like Finding Nemo, because if you really didn't like Finding Nemo, I don't think you would like this one. But, yeah. Either way, really enjoyed it. And the last thing I want to talk about is podcasts. Yes, indeed, my friends, podcasts. So as I mentioned before, the winner of the giveaway is Kalisha of the Quirky Monday podcast, and I went and watched a couple of her episodes, and she's really lovely. She's a really lovely person. She's really funny, and I love looking at all the socks that she's knitting and stuff, so I'm looking forward to kind of just catching up on her episodes, and you should check her out too, because she's lots of fun. And I binge watched all of Nicole from Hue Loco's episodes. It was easy to do because her episodes are usually half an hour or less, so I would just I'd end up watching 2 or 3 of them throughout the day. But she just has such a lovely presence. She's very relaxing and nice to watch, and obviously I was watching her yarn dyeing tutorials too, and I've actually watched them 5 times each, because I'm really trying to absorb, meld all the information into my brain. And yeah, so if you haven't by some fluke not watched any of Nicole from Hue Loco's episodes, I would really suggest that you go and watch them, because one thing I love about Nicole is that she's, I think, a really natural born teacher. I don't know, maybe that comes from her art school background, because the thing is that when you go to art school, you are learning from talented artists who are teaching you skills that they have also learned, and then you use those skills to create your own unique product, right? You don't walk into a university art class any kind of art class, and find that your teacher is going to be really cagey about teaching you skills, because otherwise why would they be there teaching you? Why would you be there learning if they're not going to tell you anything because they're being cagey? Of course, Nicole is not going to share all of her industry secrets, but she is really a great teacher, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, if you're interested at all in yarn dyeing, also check out her tutorials, because they're really great. And the last podcast I want to talk about is Wool Needles Hands. So that's Taylor, which I found her podcast because she had commented on one of my episodes, and I'm really glad that she did, because I love her. I'm not going to say that to be creepy, but I really do enjoy watching her. And I love that her episodes have a really unique layout. I watch a lot of knitting podcasts, okay? Like dozens probably. But not one of them has her layout and really covers her topics the way she does. And I really, really, really love that. Beautiful production quality, beautiful knitting, beautiful yarn dyeing. Yeah, we're like pixie twins. And I thought it was pretty funny that we both bought the same box for our box of socks, Cal, at Michael's. Like, anyone who's walked into a Michael's knows that there's like dozens of things to choose from, like if you just want a box. The fact that like we're a country apart and we bought the same box is like wildly hilarious to me. Like, I just thought that was so cool. So definitely check out Taylor of Wool Needles Hands, because you will not regret it at all. She's wonderful. And I'm going to stop gushing now because I'm being a creep. So I am just at an hour without editing, so I think this will still be an okay length, though I'm going to stop there. Talking. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry if it was a little bit rambly at some points, but I feel like this is why I'm kind of thinking also about doing every Wednesday instead of doing like Wednesday, Friday, Friday, Wednesday, because I'll have a little less to talk about, which means shorter episodes for you guys, and I think it'll just be easier to keep my thoughts in check and to not kind of fall out of practice, but we'll see. Maybe I'll try a few weeks of every week, and then you guys can let me know what you think. I'll let you know what I think, and then we will go from there. If you would like to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can find me on Ravelry as dabblejoy. And if you would like to find me on Instagram, I am Rhineland Story, and as always, at the bottom of the screen and in the information box down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week, a wonderful life, happy knitting, happy living, over and out.